Hi guys, Natalie Willis here from the Baby Sleep Trainer. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am very excited to talk about a subject that I feel like doesn't get nearly enough attention, and that's what it's like to parent a sensitive baby, and of course, what a sensitive baby is like when it comes to their sleep. Let's dive right in. Sometimes you will get these definitions of babies. I think there was an author a while back that deemed babies, angel babies, this kind of baby, this other kind of baby. I like to look at it really simply and just think about how all children are on a temperament spectrum. So some children are super easygoing and some are really quite sensitive. And sometimes when parents don't expect a sensitive baby, or maybe they've never had experience with one, or frankly the concept hasn't even occurred to them that a child could be really sensitive, it can be kind of a whopper when you end up with one and what that actually means. I found that sensitive babies don't typically show their sensitivity that much in the first 6 weeks of life. I've talked about in a lot of my videos how a lot of babies from birth through to about 6 weeks tend to be just really sleepy through all sorts of things. Sometimes they'll have like erratic sleep patterns, but for the most part, they just seem to kind of just exist wherever you are. They'll be wrapped up, they'll sit, they'll look around, they'll sleep, a lot of sleeping, they'll sleep through all their caretaking activities. But sometime around that 6th week, babies will kind of wake up. And around the 6th week is also when parents might encounter their child having a lot of fussiness related to gas. Maybe they're having some digestive issues. Unfortunately, sometimes issues like reflux, that sort of thing will pop up. Or maybe you are still working through your feeding relationship. So all that stuff kind of tends to really kind of hit a peak and then continue on in that 6th week. And I would say between week 6 and 12 or 14, that's when you're really going to start to get to know your baby's temperament. What are sensitive babies like? I think sometimes people are like, is my baby sensitive? I think they're sensitive. And I use a lot of sort of like ambiguous phrases here that I think will resonate with you if you do have a sensitive baby. So sensitive babies essentially feel the world at a much higher volume than their peers. So you're gonna notice that sounds, feelings on their skin, when they get older, taste, how they feel if they haven't slept enough, they're just going to be really kind of touchy. And I also think sensitive babies tend to get a bad rap because they tend to be a little bit more difficult to take care of, because I have found that sensitive babies also tend to be really good, much better at their peers at telling you how they feel. They're basically going to be upset a lot more of the time, and they're going to tell you they're upset a lot more of the time. Just acknowledging that that is the reality is really important, because when some families end up with sensitive babies as their children, they think there's something wrong with what they are doing as parents, right? And there's a lot of books and experts out there who make you feel like if your child's not fitting within this box when it comes to their sleep or their food or whatever, that must be because you're not doing something right. You haven't quite figured out the magic formula to get your kid to be successful. That's really not true. On any given week, I might be working with 2 babies, same gender, same age, right? And they react totally differently to sleep training. And if one of them's a really sensitive baby, they're going to express how they feel a lot more. And the reason this is key is because mothers, especially mothers who have given birth biologically to their own baby, but women in general tend to have more sensitivity in their brain. We know that moms have a much higher sensitivity to their own child's cries versus another baby's cries. And if you have a male partner, you may find that they are nowhere near as affected. Sometimes they are, but usually they're nowhere near as affected by your child's cries as you are. So if you have a sensitive baby that's crying a lot, and that's going to be really triggering to you. This is to say nothing of if your baby is actually experiencing things that are a challenge for them. So are they having a lot of like gas? Are they struggling with their sleep? Are there things going on in their world? Do they have eczema? Is there something else that's really bugging them? Because if there is and they're sensitive, they're going to be even more vociferous around that. I really want to like articulate that, because I really don't think parents, I don't think the world really acknowledges how challenging it can be to take care of a sensitive baby. 2 things. One, they might present a little bit more of a fuss when they are sleep trained. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But they also are going to be a lot more sensitive to not getting the amount of sleep they need. There is no way, I've never ever found a way to take a child who is inherently sensitive and make them more flexible or easygoing. So if you have a baby that's sensitive, they're never going to get used to like skipping a nap or being off their schedule. They're not. They're just going to consistently feel crummy about it and consistently tell you about it. And again, an easygoing baby who's off their schedule is just literally not going to feel as badly as a sensitive baby who's off their schedule. And one last tip for sensitive babies, they're going to be particularly sensitive to their environment, all sorts of ways, but when it comes to their sleep, they are really going to benefit from loud white noise and complete darkness. Sensitive babies have a really hard time blocking the world out. And so if you expect them to sleep through lights or loud sounds or siblings or things like that, they're gonna have a really hard time. So do them a favor and make sure that it's nice and dark with loud white noise in their room. I have found from personal experience with my own children that sensitive babies typically continue to be sensitive children and just sensitive as they grow up. As I said earlier, sensitive humans sometimes get a bad rap because I think there's some sort of like conflation with weakness. Like if you're sensitive, you're also weak. I frankly think the world needs a lot more sensitive people. They tend to be more empathetic and aware of how other people feel because they struggle a lot as well. So it's definitely not a bad thing to have a sensitive baby. It's just something to know about your own baby so that you can have your reality check for yourself and not feel like you're necessarily doing something wrong. And it will also help you take care of your baby better, because if you know you have a sensitive baby, then you know that you may not be able to push them very hard before they kind of tell you that they're upset because the world is really hard for them. If you like what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe. Right next to the subscribe button is a little bell. Make sure you hit that one as well, because that will let you know every time I put out a new video. See you next time.